Even what might appear on the surface as an easy situation with asking, boundaries or communication between people can be anywhere from a little more complicated than it seems to very, very loaded and complex, depending on the whole context of what's going on, right down to it merely happening in this very complex world we all live in. This is all often a lot more complicated and confusing than many people want to even think about, let alone talk about. Not Kitty Stryker, though. I remember the first time I heard of her over 15 years ago, when she was a younger person working very hard to create conversations about consent within the BDSM communities in San Francisco, and facing quite a lot of backlash. My first impression of her was that she was very brave, very honest, and very generous. Brave because it takes a lot of guts to talk to people about consent in a group where quite a lot of them insist they already have it all down, and that anyone who doesn't think so is the problem. Honest because she was telling the truth, even to folks who really didn't want to hear it. Generous because being willing to open yourself up to the kind of backlash that Kitty faced and keep on for the sake of everyone's safety and well-being is an incredible service to your community and beyond. These qualities and Kitty's experience with talking about consent and everything that goes with it are just a few reasons why I think you're so lucky to have her as a guide in learning about all of this. Kitty absolutely understands that while sometimes it's as easy as just saying no to tea or onions, more often than not, it's not so easy at all. And many times, especially in often loaded situations like sexual encounters or relationships with power disparities, it can be really challenging and overwhelming. She knows that it's not easy at all in cultures, great or small, where a lack of consent or even outright non-consent is the rule, not the exception. It's not easy when so many of us weren't raised in cultures of consent, and when not being asked or even really considered if we want to be hugged or kissed, if we want to go somewhere, if it's okay if someone cleans our space without us there, if it's okay for someone to look under our clothes at a part of our body, was what was normal for us. It's for sure not easy if and when we don't even know words or terms for some of the most basic ways we've already had interactions where consent has and hasn't been present in the first place. It's not as easy to understand consent when so much of what we've seen in popular representations of places where consent needs to be happening, like touching each other, sex, even just doing chores, shows us zero of the consent part, and may even falsely or lazily, and for sure irresponsibly, represent non-consent as consent. It's not easy in situations where we want someone to like us, or we think that asking for consent will zap all the magic from the moment. It's not easy if we've said yes to something before, if someone seems annoyed with us, or if we aren't even 100% sure of what we actually do and don't want in the first place. It's incredibly difficult if a relationship we're already deep in has its own culture of non-consent, or if we grew up being told that when someone loved us, they were supposed to just do anything we wanted or vice versa, and doing otherwise means they don't love us or we must not love them. It's not as easy when the people involved are people we have much more complex feelings about and relationships with than the dude making a sandwich, a new but desperately wanted friend, our parents or grandparents, a teacher, a crush, a boyfriend, girlfriend, or other kind of paramour. It's not easy if and when, as it so often does in this world, some part of consent or the process of it feels like a moratorium on some really important part of who we are. Our gender, our orientation, our maturity, our strength, our lovability, our attractiveness, or even our worth and value as a whole person, full stop. It's really, really freaking hard when we're scared, as we can so often feel, to ask someone else for something we want, or to answer someone who's asking, when we don't even feel basically safe in an ask, an answer, a calling in or out, or even just having a consent conversation.